I'm live on, just went live on Twitch and now TikTok. Also mods, my mods used to every once in a while like encourage people to donate support and stuff. So if you'd like to do that too occasionally, because it makes me really uncomfortable to do that. My dog's itching. Cornholio. Hi, Joker. Buy your girl a cup of Joe. Not Biden. Cup of Joe. Thank you, Victrola. Both work. I'm a cup of Joe. I'm a cup of Joe. Oh, the N-word? Yeah, Victrola. Hi, Fire. How are you? Can you guys read the chats coming in from... Is that legible for you guys? By the way, I believe if you turn your phone, it should go horizontal. Connected to YouTube chat. Yay. If anyone wants to hop on, hi, Nas. Yeah, godless. It is wild, isn't it? I love it. We just set this up. Yesterday was the... Oh no. Did you solve the network problemo? Nas, I just had an idea. You know how were you in here when we were talking about Patreon last night? Yeah, exactly, godless. Also, I mean, again, like I've been live streaming for less than a year. I've been on TikTok for a year and a half. I started live streaming. I'm mainly on TikTok to post stuff, but that's good, Fire. I'm glad. What was I gonna say? Oh, okay. Any linguistics students? I mean, go right. I studied psychology with a focus on cognition and linguistic psychology and stuff. And obviously got... Nice, thank you. Thank you, Nice. Oh, God, it always fucking warms my heart. You guys are... Thank you for the 20. What I was going to say, Nas, is... Because someone said something about Patreon yesterday, and I said... Oh, I would feel weird about doing Patreon if I'm not, like, posting things, like, creating specific content for Patreon or whatever, right? Although my understanding... So just because of... I guess... You know how that Sims mod is in the news right now? Is that on your side of TikTok? Are you guys on that side of TikTok? Sorry, I'm merging, like, multiple thoughts and conversations that have occurred over the last, like... week into one thing. So I'm trying to make sure everyone's got all the pieces. Do you guys know about the, like, Sims drama that's happening right now? Polymod? Yeah. Okay. It doesn't really matter. I think I'm on the Sims side of TikTok because one of my videos was about The Sims and it went pretty viral a while back. So every once in a while I get Sims content. But there's some drama, whatever. Mods are made by people they're, mods. And so Sims just released like an update, and when they update, it breaks mods. And there are these people who make these very popular mods, and they were on vacation, and so they have a Patreon that people. You are? Okay, cool. Maybe that's how we ended up in the same corner. So these people provide it for free, right? They provide this mod for free, but they also have a Patreon that some people subscribe to. The reason people are talking about it is because they said, hey, it's going to take a couple days. Like, A, the update was pretty substantial, so it's going to take a little while to, like, update the mod. And B, like, we're on vacation, so it's going to take a couple extra days because of that. Like, we're talking like a week or something, right? Yeah. And I mean, but it's normal, right? Like updates break mods. That's what happens. And yeah, I think part of the problem is that Sims constantly sends out like small updates that constantly break mods, but that's on EA, whatever. But so they put out this little message, and a bunch of people, like their Patreon supporters who donate monthly, are like, I don't pay like $10 for this, da 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 da. And long story, this is not important. I'm just saying because of that, I learned, some people do a Patreon and set it up as a sort of like optional support thing, but they're not necessarily giving like exclusive access to exclusive content, right? They're releasing stuff, providing a service for free, and it's like, if you want to donate monthly or whatever, you can through the Patreon. Okay? So I've always avoided doing Patreon because I'm like, I don't have exclusive content to post, and I don't want to I'm already trying to like keep up with TikTok and stuff and whatnot. However, Nas, I've never used FIFA. Yeah, right, at EA. So Nas has said a couple of times, like, there's like certain lives or moments that you love, right? And you're like, you asked me the other day, is it possible to save this? And it is. It can be a pain. I have to still download a few of them. I don't download all of them, but I had this thought, what if on my Patreon, if I did in fact have to provide unique content on my Patreon, I could probably do some like select moments from my lives and release those on Patreon, maybe. Oh, that's still a lot of work. I don't know if I want to do that. But maybe. Right? Yeah. This is a lot of fucking work, too. Guys, creating content and doing things like that is exhausting. It's exhausting, guys. Especially if you're not just like, do short films. Yeah. Short films are expensive. The way I do them. Was trained to do them. Yeah, I gotta open my mind a little bit. Yeah. Exactly. Mutual. But especially because I will say, like, I'm not someone, like, my content isn't like, ooh, a day in the life, like, do this thing. I mean, sometimes when I film protests, I'll post a thing, but I still have to film the protest, edit the video, and then do the whole thing, and that takes time. And obviously editing as well, but I'm just going to say, I'm not just filming things I do throughout my day and creating content while also doing things. Does that make sense? Like, my content is separate, so I can't like simultaneously like cook and make my content. I have to either be cooking or making my content, just because no one's watching me although I do want to post a video about my tortilla recipe, but you know what I'm saying. I'm not an influencer. Exactly. Thank you. That's the way simpler way of putting it. Thank you. Hi, Philippe. There's my man who said he would pay my rent for some weird reason. What do I cook? I don't cook often, Joker. I used to cook a lot more often. During the pandemic, I was pretty good at it. I will say, and I have to figure this out, and funny, so Philippe's in here. Philippe and I have been dating for over a year now, and I will say my brain, it's hard for me to get into a routine when I'm also taking into account someone else who also doesn't have a routine. Does that make sense? I know how to cook, Joker. Which is like normal, right? Like we're both freelancers and stuff. And it's sort of like, as a result, you know, we spend time together when we can spend time together. You know what I mean? Like we don't have like a routine where we go to work every day at the exact same time and then like know reliably that like, okay, these days of the week, these evenings of the week, these hours of the week, we're going to be able to spend together and da-da-da-da. And like, I feel like when you are in a relationship and you can do that on some level, not that everyone does the same thing every single week, but like on some level there is like a structure to that. But Philippe and I, we're both freelancers, so every week is completely different. And it's sort of like you kind of just have to figure it out as it goes along. And so as a result, that's hard enough as one person living in a like freelancer kind of lifestyle with getting a routine going in a lot of ways, but it's even harder with two people for me. I'm just bad at things like that. Does that make sense? Most couples, you know, like ships in them. Yeah. No, Joker. I don't know. Philippe, do you use FIFA coin? Hi, baby. Do you want to come up? Yeah. You know what I kind of want to do? I got my, I don't know why my. No? No what, Philippe? What did I ask you? Oh, you don't use FIFA coin. Sorry. Hi, baby. Oh, hi. Oh, I've got lipstick on. Why do you not use FIFA coin? How about this, Joker? Why should someone use FIFA coin? Is no one going to hop in? Let's get some discussion going. Yes. Hi, Kayla. I am. Right now I'm cuddling my pupper. Thank you. Thank you, Riz. I love you, but please don't give me a bath. I'm clean. Thank you. Thank you so much. There you go, Godless. You want to get down? Or you want to hang out? Okay. I guess we're hanging out for a little bit. Her name is Rizzo. Hi. Oh. Can I bring her right up on the mic? Oh, yeah. Riz, here. Look. Taking a screenshot? Okay, thank you, Riz. Thank you. Here. On EA Crypto? No, I don't think so. Oh my god, I have a photo of her that is so cute, that where she's at when we visited my friend at an office she used to work at, and she like had these big headphones at her computer station, and there was like she had a coffee cup there, and she was like sitting on her lap, and we put the headphones on her head, and she had the coffee cup there sitting in front of. It's very cute. It's a very cute photo. Ooh. Oh my God. I thought you were sending me a screenshot, Philippe. Instead, you sent me something terrifying. Can I show people, Philippe? I'm sorry, my lap isn't big enough to fit you, Riz. Here. Philippe just sent me this. Is that your scooter? Yeah, so that's his scooter. And apparently a sentient doll just hopped on it. I think she might be going a little blind. Look at those little cloudy eyes. It works for you? For what? Nice go, right? Still waiting for people to request in. It's open debate, open topic. Yes, Joker. She's basically a cat in a dog's body. Hold on, I can't hear you. Hi, Theon. Hello? I can't hear you if you're saying anything. Can anyone hear Theon? No? Okay. Theon? Hello? Oh, okay. Guess not. Anyone else? Also, if anyone just wants to hop on here and sit on here for a little bit so people know that they can request in for the other things. Unfortunately, in this setup, I can't make it so that the multi-guest slots are permanent, you know? Philippe, are you able to request in? Hi. Oh, thank you, God. Hi.
What's up?
Hi.
Whoa, there's 0 people. What happened? Is the meter wrong? The people counter?
I don't know. This is what was happening the other day to me. It said 0 on here, but then elsewhere it said no. According to Castor Labs, it's like 11 people in here. Which also not that many, but yeah. I understand you're cooking, but if you, I feel like if at least someone just sits on here, even on mute, at least it'll keep the like boxes up so people know that they can like request to join. You know,
Yeah, I hear you.
if you're busy.
Not a big deal. I'm just making cheeseburgers and French fries. I've
Yum.
already cut up all the taters, so.
Oh my God, you're making them like fresh.
Yeah, that's the best way, isn't it?
Yeah. It's also the hardest way.
It's quality over quantity.
I can respect that. So yeah, we're still waiting for someone to come in here with a topic they want to talk about. I want to cross my legs.
I didn't notice. Do you have a banner like political / whatever discussion?
It just says open
Thumbnail,
discussion.
whatever it's called.
Open discussion / debate. But I know that. I know. I feel like once we get it going, people start understanding that they can, like, the name of the game. But yeah, I gotta figure out how to like better just like trigger it. Maybe should I just say like pick the topic?
From what I've seen, it does seem to be better if you already got a topic picked.
Yeah.
People are strange. They have they normally are on a kick and they're scrolling along, and if they see something that they're currently thinking about, they're like, yeah, I'll go in and talk about that.
All right. I mean, yeah, I feel like there's no one in here. Earlier, at the very least, we had some people asking, like, why Democrats, right? But I don't know that there's anyone in here. Am I specifically looking to argue? No, just discuss, Victrola. Just discuss. You know, it's not always argument, but discussion. You know. You want to get down there?
Which oftentimes starts with just hanging out, talking.
Yeah, exactly. Should I bring it up closer? I'm gonna bring my dog's chair up and stuff so she can sit right by us. She's 10.
Oh, we have a godless heathen. Is this the same godless heathen I've interacted with on lives before, or is it a different one?
Uh-oh. Looks like my laundry hamper's broken. Right, sorry. Oh, cool. Okay, Victrola. Sounds good. Wow, 16.
Alright.
Nice, Joker. Yeah, their life expectancy for Cavaliers is like between 9 and 13 years, I think. She's technically 9 right now, but she's 10. You okay? You comfy?
Just mute. It's alright, we're banging pots and pans together.
Yeah, it's all good. Again, I'm waiting for someone. All right, I mean, if someone If someone's undecided voters, let's talk about it. Let's start with that. Undecided voters.
We're all having hamburgers.
Let's start with that.
Hi, Rach.
If anyone wants to join. Thank you for sharing the live, God. Props, Kamala. Do you want to hop on and talk about why probs? Why probably? He's a meanie. Whoops. There he is. What's the badass or dope ass Babes in Toyland video?
Here, Rach.
She doesn't seem sure about this new setup. Oh, was it? It's also like an old play or musical, I think. Tax cutters. Me? RFK Jr.? No. Fought with Courtney Love. Over what? Is that the description of the video or just like general if you're telling me about Babes in Toyland? She wore a baby doll dress and fought with Courtney Love. Like, that's just a beautiful... I kind of hope that that's not about the video. It's just, like... Cat Bell and the T. Like, I hope that's just, like, the descriptors of her personality. She wore a baby doll dress and fought with Courtney Love. Sold. Oh. Cat Bieland. Or Belland. Belland? I've never gone swimming with dolphins. All right. Babes in Toyland. I don't know, Joker. Maybe. But I'd have to research it first to make sure that it's not like one of those things where they're terribly abused. You know what I mean? Sorry, Rose. Do you want me to put your chair back? She's looking at me like, I fuck if you're a traitor. And she's like, I can't find anywhere to sleep now. Just like, I want to hang out with you, but not like with you. All right, no biters. There you go, wrist. Is that better? I'm in an apartment, Joker, but thank you. Story of your life, Fire? I have not gone skydiving. I would like to, I think. What's going on, yo? Oh, I want to hang out with you, but not with you. Yeah. Same. She wants to body double with me. I mean, I'm the same. I'm like, I want to hang out with people. I don't want to like have to give them any attention. Like, you hang out in my general vicinity. I'll get stuff done. You do your thing. And it'll be great. I guess I can turn this back up. So just chilling. I guess so. But like a lot of people, when they're just chilling, like still expect it, or like, oh, I have to entertain you, or like entertain me, whatever. Mm. Oh no. All right. Oh no, she's eating. Great. No biters, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I love you guys in here, but I'm a little disappointed tonight. Okay. Good. Godspeed, Victrola. Ironically, now my dog has chosen to start eating, so in 15 to 20 minutes she's gonna demand to go out. If we're not set up yet, I'm on audio only mode. Well, that's good, Fire. You're missing out on my cute puppy, but not like much. I feel bad because not much is happening anyway. I don't know about that. I think a lot of people take it very seriously. How to scrap? Like scrapbook? Um, I feel like I probably could figure that out. How do you do what? Request in? You might. I'm actually not sure if on multicast like this you need a minimum number of followers, but I believe you should be able to click on one of the squares and say like request, right? You did? Okay, manage guests. There we go. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. How's it going?
What's up? I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. I might have to walk my dog in a few minutes. I guess so. Depending if we get something going, I might have to leave you guys to it. But if not, then I might just restart the live and come back and try again to this.
Right on.
So what's up? You got a topic you want to talk about?
I don't know. How about the fall of the patriarchy?
Oh my God, it cannot come soon enough. If you ask me, would love that.
I'm here for it. I had to get something argumentative on the block here.
I know. There's no one taking this. Like, let's bitch about the patriarchy for a little bit. Let's see if we get any hurt feelings coming in. Oh, I don't know. So I just posted about, have you seen this drama about, Iman Khalif, the, Algerian, I believe it is, Olympic boxer.
I did see that. Yeah, that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, what do you mean by fucked up?
I can't say that. Oh.
No, you can say fucked
yeah.
up. That's fine.
Okay. No, I heard that, she is biologically, has some sort of, like, genetic stuff or whatever. And the test, right? Whatever. But she's a woman and should be in the women's, like, it's just, my thing with sports is, like, it's about training and dedication to, like, the sport. So, like, all that stuff really doesn't matter, and people really just should be matched up by, like, their ability. And, you know, I mean, there's definitely, like, a height and size that people should be equivalent with one another, but like, there's certain sports that I think like, we could be doing them co-ed even, but
sure. Right, but that's not even the question here, right? And also, the interesting thing is that this happened in boxing, which literally has weight class, right? So it's not even just a sort of binary system of like, oh, just because you're a gender, you know, you go up against a certain, like, they have weight classes. So it's even more specific to, like, you know, body size and whatnot.
A friend of mine told me that she's lost to some of the women that she's competed against. So she won fair. Yeah. And I think like my friend mentioned that she lives in a country where she can get killed for that kind of bullshit. So people online calling her names and whatnot is, like, really fucked up. Yeah. And I think we need to get over that as a country.
Well, and also I will say, I mean, here's the crazy thing. It's like, she's a woman. She's a woman. Yeah. She's a cis woman. Like, we're not even, you know what I mean? This isn't even like a question of, like, the crazy, you know, transphobes will come in here and argue terrible fucking things about trans women who are women. But it, you know, she's a cis fucking woman. Like, and I think, and the reason I thought of this is because, you know, you mentioned the patriarchy and stuff, and I think stuff like this is just, it reveals how much transphobia is, like, linked and just a direct in many ways, like, derivative of misogyny, you know, because
for sure,
it's not as, like, because trans women are the most victimized, like the group that is, like, most at risk of violence and, you know, unaliving. And, you know, trans men, not so much, obviously very much on the receiving end of hate and very discriminated against as well. But there is a lot of discussion about how it's different between trans women and trans men. And I think a lot of that is, like, misogyny can more easily account for someone, and I say, this is air quotes here, wanting to be a man, air quotes, because to me a trans man is a man, but misogyny can understand that more, but it cannot rationalize the choice, like making the choice to be a woman. Again, not like a trans woman or a woman, but
Yeah, which is crazy to me because I don't understand why anyone would want to be a man. But
right, but right. I mean, but that's you and me, right? Like and honestly, like I can understand why someone would want that, right? Like in that, and I've said this before. Like honestly, if I were born a man, my life would have been a lot different, and a lot of points in my life would have probably been a lot more easy for me. I'm not saying my entire life as a whole would have been a cakewalk, but there are certain junctures of my life which would have been a lot easier for me if I were a man. And but also in the same way that like men can be more accepting of like tomboys, but
until they
don't like
until the tomboy punches them in the face.
Right. But they can't, but they're less, yeah, exactly. And that's the other, yeah, it's also like when a girl wins at masculinity, it's like, I think it always like comes, quote unquote, masculinity, obviously, like
Into the misogyny.
it all comes back to this like absolute rejection of female, like the value in femininity and femaleness,
Yep.
Being honest, what, Godless? Being honest, what? But yeah, it's fucking crazy. We were fucking grasping at straws. People really just want to fucking hate. People hate. Oh, and also I will say another good point is in this case specifically too, a lot of it is coming from racism as well, right? Like, because these are two female boxers, and one.
What they said about Brittany.
Sorry.
Continue. The shit they say about Brittany Griner. And the
Oh,
shit
yeah.
they continue to say about her, like, I mean, or them, like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure, like, I don't follow like stuff that closely, but like, I hear it online, and I'm just like, what is everybody like, just getting so bent out of shape about
Right.
people just being who the fuck they want to be in their like authentic self.
I think, I mean, it comes from being like sore losers, right? Like it's anger that a woman, let alone a woman of color,
Right.
could win at something so handily, so handily, could beat a white woman. I mean, like most men in that ring would have also just gone down and stuff, but there's this insecurity of that, like this challenges this concept of like supposed superiority when a woman of color from Northern Africa can in one fucking round with like basically like one punch beat a white European woman, and all of a sudden it's like all hell breaks loose.
Like, all the sports. I mean, what is, I don't know how to say her last name, but Coco Gauff. Is that no? And like the Williams sisters, like Michelle Obama, for fuck's sake, like they're still like pointing that, like I like immediately saw that they were pointing at Kamala Harris's dick, like as soon as like that news dropped, and there's like photos of her like photoshopped as a man, and it's like absolutely weird.
Yeah. And it's that insecurity. The white patriarchy cannot stand the fact of a woman of color being better at something.
No, I can't
Can't
wait.
fucking handle it. Can't fucking handle it. The only way they can conceive of that is that they're either, well, also I was gonna say either not a woman of color, or like either not of color, not non-white, or not a woman. And Kamala's kind of being on the receiving end of both in a way, right? I mean, they're not accusing her of being white, but they're accusing her of not being black. And they're accusing her of not being a woman. They fucking hate that a woman of color is better than a Caucasian man at a lot of stuff. That's where it's fucking sore loser syndrome. Yeah. Anyway, if anyone wants to fucking disagree, you know, or
I wonder if there's. I know there's still people out there that are. I'm looking at the comments.
anything. I mean, Joker Pill. I know you're a troll account. Just Joker Pill. You know, whatever. Anything less is shameful. Why? Just because you're ashamed of something doesn't mean, like, you should be ashamed of it, right? Like I'm sorry that you're embarrassed by something.
No, I just got done eating. Yeah, I'm trying to make sense of Joker's comment that I'm a guy or whatever. I don't run around acting alpha or something. I'm not ashamed at all.
Yeah. Why aren't you
It doesn't make any
comfortable?
sense.
Why aren't you comfortable in your enough in your value as a human, as a man, without risk?
Then again, I'm not sure what they mean by alpha, unless by
Right.
alpha they just mean just running around being a tool.
Right. Alpha. You're just like shorthand for hyper masculinity, toxic masculinity, right?
A dog.
Yeah, basically toxic.
Yeah, exactly. Fire. You have to fill them. Who says I have to fill it? Who made that rule? Have to. Have to according to what? Like, what happens if someone doesn't fulfill a gender role?
Did you know that the male sex is actually a mutation
Oh,
of
gotcha,
the
godless.
double X chromosome? Joker Pill? Did you know that?
Biology. Well, biology isn't, gender role isn't biology. That's, psychology, sociology, culture.
More social culture thing.
Yeah, that's not biology. But that's not how biology works, Joker. That's not true. Biology didn't dictate women should wear heels. In fact, biology dictates that women shouldn't wear heels because heels fuck up your feet permanently. Right?
And a long time ago, men wore the heels. Or males, however you want to say it.
It's you playing yourself. What does that mean? Playing yourself. Be precise. What does playing yourself mean? What if I want to play myself? What if I want to... Oh, I'm playing myself according to you, your ideas? Okay. That's not the same as me having to do anything, is it? Joker Pill thinks I'm playing myself.
I don't see how it affects anybody else if somebody don't want to, like, say, if somebody else don't want to play the role that someone else wants them to play. Let people do their own thing. Not bothering anybody, doesn't hurt nobody.
Exactly.
They turn it into a bigger deal than what it is. It's not a big deal.
Exactly. You playing yourself. I
never have really got educated. I don't educate myself. I've never studied the thing, so I'm probably out of the loop on a lot of it, though. So I try to be quiet about this stuff. But to me, it doesn't matter one way or the next.
Yes, because
people do what they're going to do. If it's not hurting anybody, then let them do what they need to do.
Right.
What they want to do.
Right. Well said, God. Everyone's a softie nowadays. What does that mean? Softie in what sense? Also, what's wrong with being a softie? Because I'll tell you one thing. The biggest softies, in my opinion, that I see in here are these hyper masculine, toxic masculinity, fucking alpha chode warriors who panic and flail out, and when their ego is like even a little bit bruised, right? Or when like everyone's a softie, okay, but let's use our initial example, right? Iman Khalil or Khalif. She's not a softie. That's the exact fucking problem here, right? She's fucking tough as nails. She kicked someone's ass. Handily. Well done. You think she's a fucking softie? And emotional.
What do they mean by softy?
Yeah.
Is that somebody who's not running around looking for conflict? Because that's a good thing. We do better if we all get along.
Yeah, right. That Canelo
Typically.
will knock that off quick. I don't know what that means. God, sorry. Can you spearhead this for like 5 minutes while I take Riz down?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sorta. Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
I'm gonna accept Robbie in here, but I'm not sure.
I don't know who
Maybe
Canela is.
5
I don't
minutes,
keep
guys.
up with who popular people are at all. What's going on, Robbie?
Hi, how are you?
How old are you?
I'm 18. Just turned 18 July 7th, born 2006.
Oh, you sound really young. That's all.
I get that a lot on these lives, so I'm prepared.
What were you gonna talk about? Have a subject or something?
I came up here at seeing what you guys were talking about, politics or something. I don't know. What were you guys? Are you guys debating up here? Or?
Not really. Nobody's come up with an interesting topic yet.
Have you guys touched into politics and who's everybody is voting for?
Are you gonna vote?
Yeah.
I'm gonna vote this upcoming election. I live in New York, by the way. I'm gonna vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah, why is that?
I like his handling of the border. I like his handling of the economic state of our country. I like his handling of foreign affairs and how he has kept us out of wars. And Biden has realistically got us into 3 or maybe more if you're counting proximity. I forget the word.
Yeah, have you read his criminal record?
Say it again.
Have you read his criminal record?
Donald Trump's?
Yes.
I have, but did you know if Joe Biden wasn't classified as a senile old man, he would also be a convicted felon? He was gonna.
I don't think that's what gets you out of being a convicted felon.
Yeah, it was actually. He was gonna be prosecuted for almost the same thing Donald Trump was, having
Do you have a record of that?
classified documents.
Oh, no, that's not what I'm talking about.
You can look that up, and he was. You can also look up the fact that.
Yeah, hey babe, hey, you can go on Pacer.com, and you can look up Katie Johnson. And
Hey babe, you could go on any.com and look up.
But if you want to verify it like officially on like court records, you can see that information, and she is being paid handily by Mr. Trump. How do you feel about that? She was 13 years old. Do you know that his daughter was 13 years old at the same time?
Say it again. I missed the last part. But
In
before
1994, when Donald Trump sexually assaulted a 13-year-old girl, that girl was the same age as his daughter at the time. Did you know that?
I did, but was he prosecuted? And are you 100% sure that that did happen? Because if you are, and he would be in jail right now. So I don't really understand that. People say that because he was,
And I don't think they've filed charges on him yet, but I think there's some cases.
Exactly, they didn't file charges because it wouldn't hold up in a court of law because it is false.
It did hold up in a court of law.
So why isn't he in jail currently? And please,
I don't know. You should ask him.
You don't know because he can't be put in jail because it's false.
That he can't be put in jail. I think he's scared to death that he is going to jail, and that's why he needs to keep campaigning so that he can fund his legal defense.
Donald Trump has over $4 billion. I don't think
Donald Trump doesn't have anything.
I don't. So look up his net worth right now. Come back and tell me.
And all you're doing there, Robbie, is whataboutism. I don't think anybody here likes either candidate. So if you say, well, my guy done this thing, but what about your guy done this other thing? It doesn't matter.
I understand what you're saying. I'm not gonna sit here and say that Donald Trump is the best humane person of all time because I think everybody knows that is false, but I'm going to sit here and say that out of both candidates this election, Donald Trump is the best choice for the middle class and the lower class, and the best choice.
The entire time he was president, and my taxes are ridiculous because of Donald Trump. What are
No,
your
because of Joe Biden. Look at the gas prices from Donald.
with Joe Biden doesn't set the gas prices.
Yes, he doesn't set the gas prices, but he makes policies for the environment where he closed his first executive order. He closed here, please. Let me talk. For the first executive order he put up was to close the main pipeline in the United States of America, causing there to be a lot less oil production and making the prices go up. It's simple supply and demand. Joe Biden.
That wasn't the.
It wasn't
You're
the
wrong there
only
because
reason.
that wasn't the
It wasn't
main
the only
pipeline.
reason. It was the main.
Hold on there, Rob.
It was the, yes.
I'm not going to argue with you about our interest in oil, okay, and our dependency on oil. I'm a United States military veteran, so right there. And if Donald Trump cannot be elected president again, all right, like don't do it. Like vote for brainworms, okay? Because Donald Trump
I'm sorry, no.
is going to prison. And like that's going to happen. Like Harris is going to.
He's not going to prison. He already went to court, and he now has immunity. You know that, right? So you're completely wrong.
Immunity from what?
He doesn't have immunity, so that's
From
not
being
accurate.
prosecuted, he has immunity from being prosecuted for the same thing he was just prosecuted for. You know.
That's called double jeopardy. That's not called immunity.
Yeah. Have you looked at the Epstein files? I mean, most of
those Epstein files you have seen are completely wrong because Joe Biden has been on Epstein files too. You do understand that, right?
Again, that's a whataboutism. That doesn't matter.
Exactly. So is Donald Trump being on apparently Epstein files.
That's not a whataboutism, though. That's just facts.
That's if Joe. How come Joe Biden is
Donald Trump should not even have a security clearance. Donald Trump shouldn't even be able to get a job at Target. Okay. Donald Trump shouldn't be allowed around children.
If you could give me a few policies on why you would vote for the other candidate, maybe I'll change my mind.
Kamala Harris has the resume. She's an attorney. She's
not a policy
attorney.
That's just her resume. It's nothing to make somebody vote for her. But keep going.
Her work as a senator. I don't know if you've seen any of the work.
But if I understand, but if she was voted in as president,
examining
some
6 months, court justices who are also toeing the line for some nonsense, and you're gonna allow people that you want these people to get away with this, then you elect that guy because that guy is doing everything he can to make sure that he and his billionaire buddies can get away with this nonsense. Okay.
Can you name me one of his billionaire buddies? Maybe just one. Thank you. I knew. Say it again.
Rupert Murdoch.
I mean, I don't like.
Do you have any proof that how him and Donald Trump are correlated or in coordination, whatever?
Yeah.
The Republican National.
There's lots of pictures of them together. They've had business deals together.
All of them.
I mean,
well, what are him and Rupert Murdoch doing together to push whatever word she used? I forget. Nothing, right? Nothing that you can name. You did name one, but what are they doing?
You said you wanted the name of just one. Rupert Murdoch is the name of just one.
I thank you for naming me one, but do you know anything that they are doing to make it a problem? Either of you can answer that. I would be.
Well, I mean, I think those tapes are pretty dangerous, right? Oh lordy, there are tapes. Did you just fall out of a coconut tree?
I don't really like coconuts.
Yeah. Listen, there's all kinds of stuff that's been going on for like years, okay, like decades, like this goes back a long ass time, right? And Donald Trump is going to be more of the same and worse. So if you want to vote for him, like that's obviously your choice, but that's clearly quieted. Like, I really don't understand how anybody that calls themselves a United States citizen, like a person that is here for this country and life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, would put that guy in office again.
I mean, I'm happy when my gas prices are low and I can live
I would
life like a
pay
normal American and not have three jobs.
$300 a gallon to not have that man in office again. Thanks.
Also,
Yeah, not
Joe
me.
Biden
I'd
lowered
rather,
the
you know,
Joe
I'd
Biden
rather-
tapped into the
would rather
National Reserves
walk.
and lowered the gas prices.
I
Actually,
would
a
walk
lot.
to work. I would
And
demand work
right.
from home before I let that fucker in the office again. Don't do it, man.
I'm beginning to think
Nothing-
Robbie is
nothing-
actually just a kid.
He's old enough
guess-
to vote, right? And like,
I'm old enough
I
to vote.
don't
I'm old
think
enough
so.
how old are you? You're 18.
Robbie, how old are you?
I'm
What year were
18.
you born, bud?
18.
What's your birthday?
I am 18.
What's your birthday?
July. I was born 2006, July 7th.
He's a proud Trump voter.
Oh, July 7th. Wow.
Very
Look at you,
recent.
18 years old.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
It's fun
You're
being
12.
18 year old.
New York.
Say it again.
You're from New York?
Bro, you're 12. You haven't hit puberty yet.
Guys,
I'm very much not 12. If I was 12, I couldn't vote. I don't know what you want me to do.
I mean, we can't.
July 7th, 2006. Very nice.
All right. Where you? Sorry, Robbie. Let's go point by point, right? You're trying to. I got a couple. I caught a couple of minutes on my alt account. So I'm hearing you say a few things that are, either untrue or very selectively chosen. So let's go point by point. Why do you like Donald Trump over Kamala?
I like his handling of the economic state of America.
And
of
let's
the
let's
US.
okay. In what
sorry.
sense?
Every single the gas prices were lower.
So gas prices.
Unemployment for African Americans, Asian Americans, and Mexican Americans were at an all-time low.
They're all-time lower under Joe
They're,
Biden.
yeah, they're actually lower now, but okay. If that's what you care about,
Fine.
okay. If that's what you care about, then Joe Biden wins. If what you care about is lowering gas prices, Joe Biden just did anyone address this earlier? I heard that gas prices were brought up, but Joe Biden just had a bunch of U.S. oil reserves released in order to compete with OPEC, and not only that, but was able to refill those reserves by buying lower, selling higher. He made the U.S. a profit and released a bunch of U.S. gas reserves to compete with OPEC pricing.
$6 billion profit.
$6 billion profit. Homeboy did something actually good for the economy. The
I don't like.
okay. The whatchamacallit, the stocks are now, the market is higher now than it was, under Trump, or up in the last 4 years. Anything else? Unemployment is at historic lows. So if those are the reasons you like Trump, Biden beats Trump in all of those,
Okay, I didn't like the handling of the border with Joe Biden. I didn't like the
Okay.
handling of Ukraine and Russia. With
Okay,
Joe
let's go.
Biden.
Okay, let's go. Firstly, so the economy we've established. If what you care about is the economy the way you've described it, which I'm going to take you at your word, Biden is better in every way that you have just listed as important to you than Trump is. Number one. Let's talk about the border. Okay, what about Trump's border policy do you like? Specifically.
I like his handling of the border. 'Cause
What's that mean?
During Trump's term, he had Title 42 in place because of the pandemic, making it the border fully closed in case of
But Robbie,
spread.
but you know that
Right, that's-
but you know that Title 42 was for the pandemic.
Yeah, I just said that. Please,
And Joe Biden tried to extend it, but the Supreme Court said, no, you can no longer extend it. We're no longer in a state of emergency. Joe Biden tried to extend it for another year. And the Supreme Court, which was at that time 6-4 conservative, 3 of the 6 judges were nominated and cleared and sent through and approved by the Trump administration and Republicans in Congress. 3 of the 6 conservative judges out of the 9 total judges all said Title 42 is no longer applicable because we're no longer in a pandemic, a state of emergency. So if you like Title 42, good news. Joe Biden tried to extend it. Your problem is with the Supreme Court for shutting it down.
And also, like Robbie, I understand you're 18, which means you were what, 14 when the pandemic hit?
Around there, yes.
Around, okay.
So he was 6 when the pandemic hit. Just kidding. I mean, I'm
okay,
not,
yeah, we can't fucking prove that. I understand, but whatever. Let's treat him like he's a voter. Who gives a shit? Like, Robbie, so I don't know. I mean, I guess, yeah, you were young when the pandemic hit. I'm not going to try to like talk down to you because even as a teenager, I was very aware of what was going on in the world. But you understand that policies put in place during the pandemic, specifically as a pandemic response policy, you can't look at that and act as though that is like
A normal policy for Trump. I understand.
right. In the same way that, like, ironically, Biden wanted to have that policy in.
Extend.
Yeah, he passed.
That was Trump's also, I think, mission as well, was to extend Title 42.
Right, and he would have failed as well.
Most
he
likely.
wouldn't have been able to as well.
He wouldn't have been able
to.
to.
Supreme Court that shut it down.
It was the Supreme Court that shut it down.
understand.
So Trump cannot instate Title 42. Also, in terms of like border policy, Joe Biden's border policy for almost the entirety of his presidency up until just a few months ago was the policy that was put in place by Trump, right? So if you, sorry, what was that?
What was this policy?
I mean, it was just,
Exactly.
I mean, all the policies that Trump put in place remained in place throughout Joe Biden's presidency until just a few months ago. Okay, so if you don't like Joe Biden's border policy, that's because those were policies put in place by Trump. Until a few months ago, Joe Biden signed an executive order to further shut down the border, close the border, as you guys say, to further limit like asylum applicants and border crossings and whatnot. And by the way, he's being sued right now, or the office of the president is being sued right now by the ACLU, I believe. And it's going to be probably taken to the Supreme Court, which will rule on it, whatever. But if what you don't like is Biden's border policy, those border policies, for the most part, were set up by Trump, and he closed the border even more so than Trump did, setting aside COVID-specific policies. So if that's what you care about, you should like Biden.
And Robbie, do you know why it's still Trump's border policy? Because none of the policies that Biden has proposed, and he's proposed,
Congress. Yes.
Yeah. So on day 1, January 21, 2021, the day after he was inaugurated, he sent a border bill to Congress, and it got stuck in committee because Republicans wouldn't vote for it. The first day of his presidency, he sent a bill.
Do you know the bill?
It was like the U.S. Citizens Something Act of 2021 or something like that. You can look it up on Wikipedia. It got stuck in the Judiciary Committee and didn't get passed to get a vote. And that was the first of, I think, 4 actions he's tried. One of the third, I don't remember the second one, but the third one was Senator Langford's border bill, which was supported by the border union of Border Patrol Union. That one, Donald Trump said, hey, don't vote for this because I want to run on this issue, essentially. And then the fourth action was the executive order. Joe Biden tried to do the right way because the Supreme Court told him, if you're going to pass border policy, you have to pass it as a law. You can't do an executive order. That's one of the reasons that his executive order is being challenged. But he exhausted all his attempts. He tried 3 different times. So if you want to Google it and you're at a computer, you can Google like Joe Biden border bill January 2021 or something like that. And you'll see on the first day of his presidency, he sent a bill. And it modeled one of Reagan's famous bills from the 1980s. Reagan, the king of Republican presidents, so it granted amnesty and secured the border, further secured the border. He modeled that after one of Ronald Reagan's bills. So this notion, this notion that Joe Biden hasn't done anything on the border. He's tried. He's tried multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
He said he would sign Senator Lankford's bill, the bipartisan border bill, the one that Republicans said we're not going to pass Ukraine aid or Israel aid unless it's coupled with a border bill. So they put it together. And then the Republicans in the House said, we're not going to pass the border bill because it has Ukraine. And they said the opposite of what they told him. So they took it out, passed Ukraine aid and Israel funding separately, and then presented the border bill as its own clean bill just for the border. And Republicans refused to even vote on it. Biden has tried time and time again.
Another topic that I had said, I don't like how Biden handled Ukraine. I don't think he should have.
Okay, well,
Robbie,
yeah, Robbie, we're gonna go. Here's the thing that we do here, okay? Like, and we keep things respectful, but we go point by point, because here's the thing. Here's the irony, okay? I don't like a lot of what Biden has done for with his border policy personally, but because for me it's quite hawkish, quite conservative for me. So I'm not here to try to convince you that Biden's policies are the best, but you're coming here and you're saying that these things are important to you. So like, the things that are important to you can be important to you, right? Like if you feel strongly about immigration, you are welcome to feel that way. But we're going to go through each point that you say is important to you, and we're going to find like what is actually like who actually did things better according to your beliefs. Okay. So like, just keep that in mind. I don't have the same beliefs as you, and that's fine. But if these are the things that are important to you, let us go through them and find the actual accurate information about who is better according to your beliefs. Okay. So we're talking about border. Sorry, Andrew, do you have anything more to add before we, I would say in conclusion,
I feel like I've been chatting enough.
Well, you made great points. Thank you, Andrew. In conclusion, if your beliefs about the border are what you state they are, Biden is once again better. Like what Biden has done is more reflective of your beliefs than Trump. So let's move on to the next thing.
That is why I said I like how Trump handled the border. If
Biden,
I never said I disliked the way Biden
okay,
did
so
it. I never said that. I said I liked the way Trump did it. Okay. And if they both did it the same way, then I also like the way Biden did it too.
Okay,
it doesn't go like one side better for me.
Okay, great. I appreciate that. I will say they weren't exactly the same. Biden shut the border down more than Trump did. So if that's what's important to you, is that what you like? Do you like that he curbed? So basically, as you know, as Andrew mentioned and you said you understood, that bill was put together, which then Republicans shut down because they voted. Well, they basically didn't refuse to vote on a bill because they didn't want to shut down the border because they didn't want to give Democrats that win. Do you understand?
Yes.
That they do that in order to like, because it's fucking politicking, right? You understand that, right? Like we don't have to.
I
okay. So they did that, and then Biden went and he signed an executive order that included everything he could include from that border policy in his executive order. So he was like, okay, you're not going to pass the bill. Like, I will executive order it. And now it's going to make its way through the courts. But Biden, if what you like is this idea of closing down the border, of slowing migration and stuff, Biden was better at that, did more for that than Trump did. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Next thing. What's the next thing?
I said I didn't like the handling of Ukraine. I didn't like how much Biden funded Ukraine, how much supplies and money Biden put into helping Ukraine when the middle class and lower class in America is struggling a lot right now.
Okay, so that to me sounds, that's kind of like two parts to that, right? You don't like aid being sent to Ukraine. That's fair. You don't necessarily have to like that. And you are linking that to the...
Yeah, I think that plays a part in maybe how much money is being sent there, plays a part in the lower class and middle class struggling.
Okay,
You
well,
understand that it's not full on money that we're sending, though, right?
Yes,
Sorry,
I
Brandon.
understand. It's supply.
It's equipment mostly.
It's artillery. But some of it is money. I think overall.
Well, a portion of it is money. Like
Yeah,
the biggest,
The vast majority.
the largest portion of it is old equipment, and then we get to replenish our own supply with new equipment, which actually
Creates-
has created jobs.
that actually, yeah. So that actually stimulates the American economy.
Besides, like, the money being sent over to.
Some, I mean,
like,
some money, but like, can I ask also, Robbie, are you cool with the aid being sent to is? We have to be careful about the, terms we use, the countries we mention.
I don't think I don't think it's should be sent to Israel, but I don't have a opinion on it as much.
Okay.
The other thing I
So
want to say to you, Robbie, is sorry.
it's okay. So I just want to point out, if your issue is just the sheer fact of sending aid, Republicans, conservatives are, but I mean, I will say it's generally bipartisan, but there is more full overwhelming support on the Republican side, including Trump, sent and send way more aid to is than has been sent to Ukraine. So if your issue is, if that's your issue, then again, much more money is being spent overseas by Republicans, and Trump is promising to do even more.
Understandable. I get that.
So
I
again,
want to say real quick,
yeah.
Sorry.
well, no. So again, it's and I'm just sorry. I keep reiterating this because I feel like it's easy to like lose track of this. Like, we're going off of what is important to you, Robbie, and if that is what's important to you, once again, Trump is worse at this. He spends more money abroad on foreign countries.
All right. Andrew, did you have something to say?
Go for it, Andrew.
Yeah. The money that's going, and at least to Ukraine specifically, because that's the one that you seem to take issue with, that comes out of our military budget every year, or this year. So it's not.
Keep going.
Yeah, so our military budget is our military budget. That is approved by Congress, right? So we can't, even if we wanted to say, hey, let's not spend this money on Ukraine, let's instead create housing for our houseless, right, population, or let's create food vouchers for kids in schools, right? Like, let's say even if we wanted to spend that money back in America, because it's already part of the military spending, you can't just like move it out of military spending and put it somewhere else. That's not how like a congressional budget approvals for spending numbers works. And I will say, so it's like, it would be, if it wasn't being sent to Ukraine, it would be spent on making more jets or something. Like, it would just go back into the military budget. And I want to say lastly, it's only 1.5% of our military budget.
Right.
It's only 1.5% of our military budget, dude.
All right. I want to touch back on the border because I did forget to mention something that I find very. I think it was around 2 million unvetted American illegal immigrants came into the country under Trump's term, and I think it's over 15.
Shit. I lost audio. Guys, sorry. Sorry. Are you still talking? I can't hear you guys. Fuck.
None during
Almost
Trump's
none, huh?
term.
Sorry.
Do you well, first of all, let's talk about the numbers. I think that when you say 15 million, you're incredibly wrong, and I think when you said 2 million, you're very wrong too, as well. In the 4
I think
years,
it was above 15 million unvetted illegal immigrants.
No,
under
that's
Biden.
no. It's actually
let's
no.
check
That's not
that.
that's not the number. We checked it the other day. It's not the number, but we'll read.
But either way, there have been more that have come in. Sure. Let me tell you why. When Title 42 went into effect, and because of C-19, we closed our borders with an emergency order, and it just shut down. People didn't stop coming to our border. In fact, there was during that time when people couldn't come in and couldn't seek asylum and couldn't take action and claim asylum, and which, by the way, is a completely legal way to enter this country.
And a completely different like system than illegal immigration.
No, the numbers that you're stating are lumping that as part of it.
Well, firstly, no. So the 17 million number. So the 17 million number was a claim on Instagram originally that actual experts in immigration are saying is not backed up by any actual data. So that claim, that number came from an Instagram post with, a photo of the Statue of Liberty. That is not a source. And in fact, no sources back that up. So we can, at the very least, dispel with that fucking notion, because that is, until you can actually provide actual immigration data that proves that is not factually accurate, okay? Just like
the real number then?
We'll pull it up for you, but let me continue as to why the number is different.
Understandable.
So, like I said, Title 42 shut down the border, stopped people from coming in, right? And all that whole time that Title 42 was in effect, for the last quarter, the last year of Trump's presidency, and for like a year-ish of Biden's presidency, people didn't just like not come. They came and they sat at the border. There were like tent encampments and stuff of people waiting for Title 42
I remember under that bridge.
So people were exactly. So people were still coming. So like if you went out to a creek in your backyard or something, like down the street from where you live, you have a creek, and you put a bunch of rocks to wall up the creek and said, like, I don't want this creek flowing anymore. Would the water just stop, or what would happen to that water? It would build up.
Obviously, keep going.
It would build up, make like a lake, make a little pond, and then if you got rid of all those stones, what would happen to the water? Would it just sit where it was sitting, or would it flood down toward the rest of the creek?
It would. All the illegal immigrants would continue into America. Yes.
That's what happened when Title 42 was lifted. Boom, huge surge. People claimed that it was Biden's fault. But go ahead. Sorry, Brenna.
And also, I'd like to bring up that Brenna and Andrew have already established that the border policy under both of those politicians were virtually the same.
It was the exact same policy, firstly, again. And also, so on average, and also, I just want to, I always like to, let's talk about illegal immigration, right? Because another thing that's important to talk about before we talk about the numbers is the fact that asylum seekers are here legally. Okay?
Yes, that's what I meant by it was different than illegal immigration.
Right.
You could claim to come to this country by asylum. Most of the people at the Mexico border aren't seeking asylum.
Do you have a source for that?
It's not a source. It's almost common sense. Like,
No.
No common sense.
That's not how facts work. No.
If you're 18, it's time to use sources. You can't. It's not common sense.
We need an actual source. That's not. You cannot make an assumption and present it as fact because common sense. No, we need facts.
All right.
Is there a source for that?
Source that all the the illegal immigrants are coming under asylum?
Yeah. Let me look it up. In fact, the reason I'm quite confident that most of what you refer to as illegal immigrants are seeking asylum is because the reason we know, like, when we're talking like undocumented immigrants and stuff, and we're talking border crossings, like the biggest complaint is about asylum seekers, and Fox News, Trump, fucking everyone, the Republicans will usually group in asylum seekers with their figures for undocumented immigrants, right? And unfortunately, like, that's a very, very successful, that's like a very clever strategy, right, for messaging, but it kind of ignores the fact that, no, asylum seekers, even if they are like undocumented, they are here legally. And technically they are being documented because they're waiting for the fucking, like, they don't have papers that basically says like, oh, I'm a citizen, or, oh, you know, I'm here on like a visa, but they are here. They have been granted a special legal status that is then pending review through the actual like immigration system and courts, right? But when you use like, the reason you're not going to hear Fox News and like the right talk about that is because they don't want to acknowledge that. You know what I mean? It's better for them to act as though asylum seekers are here illegally.
Did you find that source?
I'm looking it up. Also, by the way, asylum seekers, if someone is found to be here illegally, they can be deported, right? Asylum seekers, they can't be deported. So I can say I live in New York City right now, which, you know, famously, like, you know, all this like immigration stuff right now.
I live on Long Island.
Nice. So I'm in Brooklyn. So I live right by like a shelter, and you know, in recent years, basically year, I guess, we had that influx of like when migrants were being being bussed over rather to New York. You know, of all the shelters kind of filled up around here, as you probably know, and they're all there. He left? Sorry, I can't even see. Oh, he probably lost connection, or his phone might have died. If he hops back in, we can. Yeah, it's actually not
His
that.
mom called him for dinner.
Exactly. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah.
Well, so we have, on average, Tim, we have an average of like 1 million to 1.2 million annually, which is consistent and has been like the consistent number for immigration since 2014, apparently. Like, and it fluctuates within that. During COVID, it went down to as low as 700,000 annually, but that's not, you know, whatever. Let's see.
Well, I'm sorry for dogging on his age, but it really irks me.
I know, but what are we going to ask him for his fucking ID? Like, what, you know, it's the same thing as the other day. I know you're like you were saying that other person is, like, you were saying, oh, it's not a woman and stuff, which, like, come on, like, can we not?
I pulled back on that. Like I told you, I pulled back on that one. But this one, he's 12.
Okay. Well, if we can't prove it,
I'm with Andrew, but also it is a future voter. So if we can educate them now, it can help in the future.
I'm for that one. It's different than the person yesterday, but this one is violation of the TikTok terms of service. That's all. That's
okay, I understand, I understand that, but I can't, like, TikTok has a better way of figuring out if, like, you know what I mean, if it's a violation for him to be on my live.
You would take the violation for that, not the guest.
Well, if TikTok makes it so that someone's not allowed to have an account or go live under 18, TikTok, I assume, has a better way of vetting that than I do, especially if they're not on camera, right? If just voice. Okay. I don't know how TikTok is going to be like, oh, this is a child who we allowed to go on live through voice. And we know that, but we let them do that even though they're not allowed to according to our rules. But you were supposed to somehow know that they were, you know, a child when we didn't. And we let them do this. You know what I'm saying? Who's talking?
Victrola, were you saying something?
No. Okay.
I don't think my mic is working.
We heard that a little bit. All right, let's see. God, I'm just trying to. People fucking love to just write long ass articles. Let me just give me the data. Just give me the data. Mm-mm.
Yeah, if we had been talking about something other than just politics, I wouldn't have discussed with that person because I thought they were underage.
Yeah.
Had it been religion or something like that, that's their parents' job, not mine.
Right. Right. That's fair. I mean, also, like, if I don't know, like, we can do our due diligence, ask their age, ask their birthday, and from there on out, that is the extent that we can verify someone. You know what I mean? And maybe that is silly, especially if they're not on camera. Especially if they're not on camera. I mean, if someone like turns the camera on and they look underage, like boot them, absolutely. But if they're not on camera, all we can do is ask the birthday and kind of go from there. If TikTok is going to come after me because someone with a voice, somehow they figure out that someone is a minor that they have been allowing to go against their terms of service. You know what I'm saying? Like,
They like limit the live. What they do is they don't send it out if they think one of the guests is underage.
But
and will stop sending it to the FYP or something.
Right, but my understanding is that at most,
He's underage, though.
yeah.
So-
Why would they think he's underage?
It's based on AI. I don't know how they do it.
So my understanding is that it's based on image, on video and stuff, right? My understanding is that it's like that's my understanding. If people have, because I've just heard, like, I've seen adults complain that, like, oh, they had like a teddy bear on screen, they had like kind of juvenile toy things or whatever, and that got them like banned or whatever. But I haven't heard anyone say that like a voice somehow.
All right. I mean, look. I mean, that's why I backed away from like pressing it because it seemed like you were fine with it, and it's your live.
I mean,
I just wanted you to know that I was trying to be protective and
no, I understand, and I appreciate that. I understand, but I also, that's your you don't know for a fact that he's not 18.
That's true, but I felt pretty confident as being a young man myself and knowing what my voice sounded like at 18 versus 12.
Right, but again, like, that starts to get us into kind of murky territory, right? Does he sound manly enough for you? Like, that's the question.
It wasn't about manliness necessarily. It wasn't necessarily about manliness. It was about it wasn't not manliness, but like voice resonance.
Sure, but you understand what I'm saying, right? You're saying that like his voice.
Well, listen, I took nursing home complaints and I got phone calls from all kinds of people, and old people sound really young, so you'd be surprised.
Hi, Real. So we had someone up here. Honestly, the reason he dropped out, maybe he did get like flagged for being underage. Maybe that's why he got like TikTok was like, "Oh, you're a kid," and like banned him. Who knows? Maybe that's why he dropped. I was expecting him to come back eventually, but it doesn't sound like it. Hey, Real, do you want to hop up? We were talking about a young first-time voter, supposedly, who was talking and just going through the Trump policies that he supports, but he fell off. So.
The talking points.
Well, I think I'm gonna go make some food, but take care.
All right. I hope you'll come by later. We'll see. Real, are you coming up? Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. Andrew's always awesome.
Andrew, yeah, thank you. Thank you for talking me through. And by the way, God, I like that point that you made of like, even if he's not a voter now, like he's a potential future voter and stuff, you know?
Yeah, that there was no way we were going to cause any harm there, either way.
Yeah. Andrew, if you're still listening, I do appreciate it. I feel like you were a little upset that we pushed back on that, but I do appreciate it. But also, I think we should do our due diligence and then trust our due diligence. You know what I mean?
Also, not gonna lie, my finger was hovering over the disconnect button the whole time.
Oh, amazing! I love that.
Just, you never know, just in case.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
I feel like he just like probably had parents that watched Fox, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. I mean, that's the thing. He was what? So, oh wait. Yeah. So 4 years ago. He was like 10 when Trump first won. If we're trusting him,
Impressionable age. Yeah.
he was 10. So all his ideas right now are coming from, I mean, maybe not all, because the internet has obviously changed how this works, but most of his ideas are coming from adults around him. And 100, yeah, Tim. If you stick around long enough, I mean, you've been here before, but it's interesting because Trump voters will often say the same things every time, which is why it becomes easier and easier to kind of talk through them because, you know, you have all the responses locked and loaded. The CBP? Oh, the Border Patrol, you mean? Okay, let's see. So the peak of unauthorized immigrants was in 2007. So the levels in 2002, which is the most recent data that I'm finding, did not yet reach those peak levels. In fact, it did not reach like levels that were reached in. It's like the same levels as 2005. It's below levels in 2010. Same levels as 2015, and then it dipped near during the pandemic for sure, and then it's going at the same rate that it literally always does.
And also, to be fair, all Trump supporters sound like children.
That's true.
Just saying.
True. That's true. Well, I also, like one thing that bugs me, like also I just want to point out, not to like keep harping on this, but Parker, who I love, when I'm not live, I'm watching him usually. He often gets accused of being a kid, he looks like a kid, he's like 22 or something. He's young. He looks like a kid. He doesn't exactly have like a deep voice, and he gets constantly accused of being a kid who can't vote, who, is like teenager, da-da-da-da. But, at a certain point, it's like people are so fucking sure that he's like this teenage kid who can't even vote.
Parker he's young, but he's very knowledgeable. He's
Yes.
good at what he does.
Yeah. But that's kind of my point, though. It's like, I don't know, we can sit here and debate whether we think someone's a kid or not, but like Parker, for example, he gets accused of it all the time. I don't care how fucking sure you are about something, like, I don't know, at a certain point.
Yeah.
Just Title 42, 8, and ICE. What are the numbers they're reporting? Let's see. I can't find data on how many are claiming asylum versus not. Here we go. Yeah, so there's no public data about the percentage of people who cross into the country without authorization and end up applying for asylum. There's no data on that. So you can't say either way, I guess.
I believe Tim was requesting up, wasn't he?
Oh, are you requesting? Oh, yep. Come on in. Sup, Tim? Hello? Hi. Wait, you just went silent. We can't hear you, Tim.
Sorry, I'm going back and forth in between Safari right now.
Oh, okay. We just, if you can hear us, I assume you can. You've got like the picture-in-picture. We can't hear you when you swipe out of the app. So if you're reading stats off, we can't hear you.
I'm not reading yet.
Okay.
Are you looking for chapter 8 or chapter 42?
No, we were looking specifically for the percentage. Well, actually, earlier we were looking for numbers, and the numbers I found were immigration averages at about 1 million a year, which is between 1 million and 1.2 a year, with the exception of like COVID years, where it dipped to as low as a little over 700,000. But
By immigration, do you mean
Immigration.
Like people who are granted asylum, or
just immigration numbers total, I believe, is what I was looking at.
yeah? Whenever I went down that rabbit hole, I was just looking at basically border encounters, because
Which
that's
is-
like the talking point that they use.
Right, but border encounters are not the same as border like number of immigrants entering the country, legal or undocumented. That's not the same thing.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's kind of what they want. You know what I mean?
But I
Because
don't-
they want to close off the southern border.
Right, but it doesn't matter. I don't care what number they want to use. Let's use the real numbers of actual, migrants entering the country. Like,
absolutely.
let's not quote numbers
So-
that they quote in order to confuse the issue. If we're talking about people who enter the country, like actual migrants, whether they're undocumented or documented, let's talk about those numbers. Let's not talk about just border encounters, which include people who do not cross the border and like show up and get turned away. And often, by the way, they will show up day after day after day. So one person can be hundreds of those encounters, ostensibly.
Oh, of course, but I don't even. Where would you find people who actually like go through the process and that aren't seeking asylum or anything like that?
I mean, there are ways of estimating and measuring that data. I don't pretend to know, but I will say border encounter, here's the problem with saying well, how do you even count people who cross the border and are undocumented, crossed illegally or whatever? How do you even count that? Let's look at border encounters. The problem with that is that border encounters only count. Whoa. Sorry, there was just. Oh.
Yeah, I heard a noise.
Yeah. That fucking. My apartment shook. That was weird. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Sorry. Border encounters, a large percentage of border encounters result in people not ending up crossing the border at all, right? So we know that for a fact. And
Yeah, it's,
so estimates of that's not, you can't, we know for a fact border encounters includes people who for a fact are not entering into the country, so that we can't use that number as a substitute
it's
for.
not necessarily true, because it does count people who have they have a fear of going back to their country, anyone who's seeking asylum.
Right.
However, the only reason I go off of that is because those are the numbers specifically that they're trying to reference, not correctly, mind
Right,
you.
but I want to be precise. Border encounters, yes, include some border crossings. Numbers of border encounters include numbers of border crossings, but they also include numbers of failed border crossings.
Yes.
So in order to, we can't use that number. Let's always be precise. If they're using numbers of border crossings, then let's say, okay, that's not a number of immigrants. That's border encounter. Or if they're using a number that is border encounters, let's name it, and say, if you want to talk about border encounters, let's talk about border encounters. That is not the same as talking about total number of migrants in the country. That's not how that works.
But also, from what I've heard, obviously, like you said, the vast majority of encounters at the border are people who are inadmissible, turned away, what have you. But in previous years, it's been so much less. Basically, 2000 or 2002 to 2021, I believe, the numbers were not even over 1 million, and now they're reaching 2 million. So, counterpoint to them, border control is working.
Right.
More people were crossing illegally then than are now.
Right.
Like if they're trying to enforce the border, not letting people in at the border is how you do that.
Right. Right. You're saying like border encounters, because they also include the numbers of people turned away at the border. If the border is closed, you're going to have a higher number of border encounters anyway, because you have more people on the border stopping
Exactly.
people. Right. Yes. That's a great point. Thank you. Actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
from
I
what
kept
I
being like, let's
understand-
not do this. Yeah.
Bush administration for sure, like it was basically an open border. If you really want to talk about it, was like 300,000, 200,000 people that were actually apprehended or even anything was done to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we're at 10 times the amount or something right now, right?
Yeah, about. But I think the statistic was we have about a little over 40% who are coming from Mexico, but it's like maybe 2 or 3% less that are coming from Venezuela right now, and have been for the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
So they always playing Mexico, but it's literally not.
Right. Yeah. Well, but I think the reason they talk about Mexico mainly is being like, we're going to build a wall and make Mexico pay for it or whatever, if that's kind of what you're referring to. It's because they're often crossing through Mexico. But of course, the vast majority of undocumented immigrants in this country are just people overstaying their visa. That's what it is. So it's like, that's not really the fucking main source of anything. Where else would you cross? Well, Victrola, most people fly in on planes, get a visa, a tourist visa, work visa, student visa, whatever it is. The majority of undocumented immigrants fly in from all over the world and then just overstay their visa. Those are the people who are here illegally. Most of them. Like, okay, fine, if a Venezuelan migrant walks over to Mexico City, buys themselves a fucking plane ticket and flies into I don't know, Los Angeles from there and overstays their tourist visa, is that a better migrant than someone who decided to have a go at the border? Is that somehow a better migrant?
I worked with an illegal or undocumented Canadian for years.
Yeah.
He just didn't want to go home.
Yeah. And I know at least one person who was technically here illegal because she was a Brit who had a boyfriend here and they had a long distance thing. It was kind of like Crazy. Have you guys seen that movie? That's about illegal immigration. Ironically, she's an undocumented immigrant. She's the classic type of undocumented immigrant. But yeah, so I knew one woman who eventually married my friend, who was her boyfriend at the time, because she overstayed her visa because she didn't want to leave her boyfriend. That's what we're talking about.
Was it Melania on that?
Was Melania? She might have been, actually.
Yeah,
we should look that
so.
up. They include.
She was like a model or something.
I think I just found a source to find nationwide encounters, surprisingly by country.
Nationwide encounters of what? Of
basically undocumented immigrants.
Okay.
Because if by nation, it's field offices in nationwide. So not at the southern land border, not at the northern land border. So they obviously, either came here undetected or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Or overstayed visas or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Just basically apprehensions.
Okay. What are the numbers?
That's sad. Oh, fuck, that's sad. Okay.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Sounds like Tim found something
Sorry, one
juicy.
second. The number is so big, I have to go into the file and click it so it expands. Over the last 2 years, in 2022, the number of Venezuelans who were apprehended inside of the United States was 800. The number is now 16,000 in 2 years.
16,000? That's it?
16,000.
Jesus. What's your source? I'd like to just look it up so I can like read it through.
Yeah.
One big reason for that would be the political turmoil going on over
Yeah,
there
Venezuela's the big,
currently.
It is again the like cbp.gov. I'm gonna post the whole link because it's a little bit of a search.
Okay,
It's gonna be nationwide encounters, and just for your filter, you're going to put Venezuela, and the office is going to be field offices.
Okay, nationwide encounters. I'm on the page of nationwide encounters. Oh, I see that. Yeah, I found the same.
I'm gonna have to get a second device so as I can look up things like y'all do.
Yeah,
This is
right.
not fair.
It's not fair. Yeah, it is kind of handy, isn't it? You don't have like a computer or anything?
No.
Oh wow. That must be nice. Honestly.
It could be, I guess, but it would be nice to be able to look up things while I was using my phone too.
That's true, yeah. Maybe like a tablet too. Tablets are cheap, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get something. If I'm gonna do this, I might as well. People are constantly asking me, "Where's your source?" And I'm like trying to remember the name of the exact article and stuff. And I'm like, "Can't you just show it?" And like, "No, I'm on the phone, not a computer."
Yeah, that is hard. Excuse me. All right, so we lost the kid. Anyone else want to come up, have a fucking conversation? I guess everyone's out having fun.
We're having fun.
We're having fun.
Different fun.
Saturday
I
night.
think
At Saturday, yeah.
Tim's still
I
still
can join
doing
that.
research.
No, I just had myself muted. But to be fair, this is probably how I'd spend my afternoon. Like, I come to your streams enough.
Yay. That's good. I can request and say, okay, accept. Look.
Nice. Now you're on the panel with us.
Yeah. Leak. Cool. I might leave that up so people can find my alt. If you guys want to follow my alt, I don't have enough followers on there for anything, but in case we ever get bloop, you know.
Yeah, definitely need to be building a second just in case.
Yeah. Even also just like suspended, you know.
And also, I'm sorry to whoever gifted. I didn't notice. Thank you. I'm pretty sure we're supposed to say thank you.
Yes. Yes, thank you.
I don't personally. I'm more for open border. I don't know why anybody would be against. You know, the more of us, the merrier. Let them in. Who cares?
I mean, listen, I like, you know, open border, sure. Like, I don't know. Fine. Maybe don't let every single person in, right? Sure. But also, like, asylum is a legal method of migration. And, like...
Yeah, it's supposed to be, yeah.
And also, and like, look, I mean, I agree with the idea of like, I don't want, criminals like muck duckers and gang members coming across the border. I don't want that either, for sure. But
nobody does.
Nobody does. But that's also why we got to fund our immigration system. We got to put more money into it so that we can, like right now, the wait period, I believe, is 2 years on average for an asylum seeker to finally get seen by a judge and like make their case before a judge. In those 2 years, firstly, because they cannot legally work in this country, they either have to rely on, social benefits given to them, or they have to commit crime in order to just survive. Like, we are creating criminals. If we don't want criminals, if we want tax-paying, hard-working people, what we need is to allow asylum seekers a method of just at the very least, like, getting by on minimum wage in this country while they're waiting for the courts to decide their cases, or to even just hear their cases. And we need to fund migration and the immigration system so that it doesn't take 2 years. So it can take maybe a few months, maybe a couple weeks. And that way, firstly, all these people say that they're cool with legal immigration. Okay, so then you should be cool with asylum cases being heard more quickly so that those individuals who are seeking asylum legally and have legitimate case and cause for asylum are approved and can begin legally working here. And that way, they won't be relying on, the government paying for anything for them. Another win. And also, the faster we process the cases, the more you get to weed out the criminals, the gang members that are supposedly coming over. But you still, the thing is, if we're not funding that system and it takes 2 years, not only are the approved asylum seekers waiting for 2 years to get approved, but all those gang members and, criminals you're so worried about, they're hanging out for 2 years before you can legally kick them out.
Right. And I've worked with a lot of immigrants and stuff in my life, in construction and stuff. Most of them are not the criminals. They're just people trying to make a living. They're just people trying to get by.
Yeah.
Just like everybody else.
Yeah. Oh, and I do have updated information. I was actually looking at the per month basis.
Okay.
Apparently, it's much, much worse.
Okay.
So
we can't hear you.
1 second. 2001, the total amount was 50,000
of encounters.
Not Southern, not same thing as for the year to date for 2021.
Okay.
And then by the end of 2023, just for 2023, 334,000 people.
Mm-hmm. Encounters.
So
some of those encounters are the same person.
How? They escaped? Because that's within the country. That's that's per state.
Right.
That's not at a border.
But that's still.
Yeah, as in, I've seen a few of those before, so it probably could be a large number. They'll find them and they'll say, "We'll be at court on this date," and the person just don't go to court on that date, and then they encounter them again later, or apprehend them later, and then they would get counted twice or more that way.
And also,
I wonder if there's anything on how often that happens.
And also, some of those encounters also include expulsions and stuff.
No, absolutely.
So that's not just we ran into 300,000 migrants and let them go on their merry. That includes some of those encounters are the same migrants, and many of those encounters. I mean, and here's the thing. Many of those encounters, if the migrants are here undocumented, that's when they start, or illegally, that's when they get deported. But if those encounters include asylum seekers, which they do, you can't deport those people. It doesn't matter if you run into them. This is why it's a statistic that is helpful, but it's also not like with limitations to it.
Right. It's just another one of the conservative side things. We want to make a bigger deal out of this thing so as we can have something to run on than pretend we're going to do something about it. It's just a made-up thing, mostly.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's mostly bullshit.
Okay, so this is for sure more canon. Like, it's expulsion. So under Chapter 42, 2002 it was 700, and in 2023, 2023, end of year, it was about 30,000.
Mm-hmm. Does not. I mean.
Yeah,
That's
so,
isn't that so like year wide?
Sending them wherever.
Right. I don't. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that counters any of the data that we were saying earlier, right?
It's a big number difference, but there could be there could be numerous reasons for it.
But that comes out to around, we're talking 30,000 a year, or sorry, a month, right? Encounters.
No, 30,000 the whole year, but I'm just like drawing attention to the fact that it multiplied so heavy, and not to mention the fact that Chapter 42 is fucked.
Okay, you're saying that there's a big jump in encounters, right? But by, like, as you pointed out, that includes.
Oh, no, that's not an encounter. That is an expulsion.
Okay, 30,000 expulsions. Okay, but so that's good, right? You want, like, if you want to, like, close the border, you want to like an increase in expulsions is good, right?
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's more here. It could be that they're just finding more now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, more are being expelled. So, I mean, because, like, if conservatives are whining that they want more and more, like, immigrants expelled, okay, so expulsions are climbing. So why are you, it's like, what, okay, so why are we complaining about it now?
Exactly.
Okay.
Because they pull facts out of their ass.
Right. Well, they use them, like, in like, massaged ways, right? Or, like, kind of sneaky ways.
Racist.
Yeah, they take those numbers and then skew it and word it in a way that seems to favor them.
So, let's see. I'm, like, looking up.
All they have is fear mongering. I mean, and they just use race to fear monger. They've been doing it forever.
Oh,
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the way it works.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm looking up.
At some point, I would think their followers should be like, maybe I need to listen or check into what my politicians said before I just believe them.
Right.
But that doesn't seem to be happening.
No. Well, I mean, the media isn't banning them either. Like, that's part of the problem.
So also, okay, let me clarify too. There's encounters as defined, at least by Pew Research. There are two types of encounters: apprehensions and expulsions. So
Chapter 8.
No, that's just the definition of
the like apprehensions that aren't exposed, if I'm not mistaken. Or
maybe you're saying Title 8 is like the law that basically allows them to apprehend immigrants in order to determine whether they can, like, remain in the country legally.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So encounters include apprehensions and expulsions. So yes, apprehensions, encounters that it results in apprehensions, like you're going to figure out, is that an expulsion, or can someone stay here legally? Like, yeah. And then also, yeah, it's like, okay.
I don't know. It's always been weird to me on how they talk about securing the border, just like because of the numbers.
Yeah.
Like, it's gotten to the point where I'm not sure if they want to like post a sniper tower and just shoot on sight. Like, honestly.
Oh, that's what they
Because-
want. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also, but it's not what they want. Also, because like the problem is, we had someone in here the other day who was like railing against undocumented immigrants, right? Because whatever fucking reasons. But then he revealed that he employs undocumented immigrants because it's cheaper for him. And so it's like, okay, well, A, you're the fucking problem, right? I mean, he's the problem that he's whining about. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have nearly as much of an issue with like migrants and stuff here as he does, but he's whining about undocumented migrants coming here and stealing American jobs, and he's the fucking American business owner who is literally hiring them. He was like,
him. He's taking advantage of the situation and then complaining about it.
yeah,
That's unhinged.
yeah. And he's like, well, it's just good business. It's like, okay, but thank you. You're the fucking problem. You are creating the problem. And also, like,
Call is coming from inside of the house.
always. And like, and that's the fucking irony, right? It's like, here's what it is. They benefit from migrants being undocumented, right? They want to make legal migration harder because it is easier to exploit illegal immigrants. And they're going to say that they're against illegal immigration. They're going to say it's this, da, da, da. But what they want to do is make it more dangerous and harder, more dangerous to exist in this country as an illegal or an undocumented migrant, because then you are much, much more easy to exploit and get cheap labor out of and do illegal things to, because undocumented migrants are like least likely to call police when they are the victims of a crime, which they are victims of a crime at much higher rates, if I remember correctly. Firstly, they commit crimes at lower rates than American citizens, but also they're often the victims of crimes. And so the reason you want to make like these people who benefit directly and incentivize undocumented migration into this country by paying undocumented migrants and benefiting from their cheaper labor, it is so much more beneficial for fewer immigrants to be here legally, because legal immigrants who can work here legally are entitled to minimum wage and are entitled, I mean, everyone here is entitled to be employed legally and like safety standards and all this stuff, you know, whatever. But undocumented immigrants, because they cannot legally work here, they're not entitled to minimum wage. They're not entitled to benefits. When a crime is committed against them, they are less likely to report it. These people benefit from creating a situation in which it is risky to exist as an undocumented immigrant in this country, but they benefit from them existing in this country. That's it. It's all about fucking trafficking, exploitation, capitalism.
Also, Chris, I don't know if you know this, but last time I checked, Mexicans actually vote in higher percentages for the Republican Party.
Yeah.
Especially older Republicans.
Yep, I checked that. That is a thing. I did check in on that one time recently.
Fire on Twitch has a good question. One question posed to me before was, quote, what if the businesses that hire the illegal immigrants, undocumented immigrants, were punished accordingly? Well, yeah, and that's by the way something that has been proposed a lot. And I'm cool with that too, right? I'm cool, like, there's nuance to it where I'm like, okay, an undocumented immigrant in this country, like, I hope that they are able to find a way to survive, put food on their table, put a roof over their head and their family's head. You know what I mean? Like, I want them to have that ability. But I think that, like, for me, I think the way of fixing that and ensuring that in a way where they are less likely to be exploited is, number one, penalize the businesses who are doing illegal hiring, and number two, make it like easier for people to immigrate or undocumented immigrants to, get documentation and stuff. Like, I'm just like, I know I'm like kind of repeating a big part of that, but like part of the reason I'm trying to be precise about that is because, yes, I agree. Go after the businesses who are doing the illegal hiring, but not because I don't want undocumented migrants to, be able to work. But also, if your concern is, like, economic migrants and stuff, which again, our economy benefits from. We benefit from economic migrants, but whatever. If that's what you're afraid of, then the only way you're going to stop that is by actually removing the incentive. That's what you give a shit about.
Yeah, as well. It's always grinded my gears that they care about the people entering, but they don't actually care about the root of the problem or as to why they're coming.
Sorry. Godless said, if immigrant labor was outlawed, there'd be way less incentive for immigrants to come illegally. But you understand, undocumented immigrant labor is outlawed. It is illegal. The problem is that we punish the immigrants, not the businesses who are hiring them, who have all the power, who are hiring them at illegal rates and giving them illegal jobs.
Yeah, knowingly. They knowingly do it.
Yeah, knowingly. So it's not like a matter of like, we should make it illegal for all immigrants to work. Because it is already illegal to hire undocumented immigrants.
That's not true.
Well, I know it depends on the I will say it depends on the country that they hark from.
That is true. If you're going to say Hispanic, that's really general.
Because I'm pretty sure Cubans are quite conservative.
And if they're not here legally, then they don't have an ID. In that case, how do they vote?
Oh no, but we're not. No. Let's not confuse the thing. No undocumented immigrants are voting. That's not how that fucking works. Not even a little bit.
It's just a talking point to restrict people from voting.
For anyone, any of these people that says you can go around and do things without an ID, try it and then come back and talk to me again later.
Yeah.
It's like the Republican Party of today's version of a literacy test, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Just to make it harder. I think it was my state, if I'm not corrected, that is going to supposedly require you to have a passport or like a real ID, which I don't know if it does where you're from, but where I'm from, it like costs money to get. It's like $40 per ID.
They don't vote directly, but where they live gets more votes. Not quite. Not with undocumented people, dude.
If you're not paying rent or buying a house or own a house, then you're not really counted in the census because you're just a visitor.
And also, by the way, immigrants are much less likely, especially undocumented immigrants, are much less likely to fill out any sort of census forms. But I will say, a majority of Latino adults, 60%, say the Democratic Party represents the interests of people like them, somewhat or very well. So it is a majority of Latino adults say that. We don't know how they vote, but they say that the Democratic Party represents their interests. But there are, I will say, based on or dependent on nationalities and also like specific states and regions and issues, there's a lot of conservative voting by Hispanic individuals,
Chris,
because of religious reasons.
do you understand how a census
Do you know how the
works,
census works,
Have
Chris?
you ever gotten like a census letter in the mail? Homeless people don't have
census
mailboxes,
people show
buddy.
up at your house.
Yeah, Chris, I don't think you know how the census works.
That they're not counting by hand, my friend.
It's true, dude.
That's not true at all.
That's not exactly how that works, dude.
They might have been a scammer. I hope you didn't give them any information.
I will say I've had them show up at my house a time or two in rural areas. They do that.
Oh, okay.
But also, they want to know more about the people in the house, and they want to know, do they live there permanently, or are they visiting from somewhere else? Because if they're visiting from somewhere else, that doesn't count. They don't get put on the paper. So if they were visiting from outside the country, they wouldn't get counted as a resident. That's not how it works. They're
and
particular who they put on the list of living here.
And also, by the way, this is why there's a big question of, because census isn't just someone showing up and asking you how many people live here. Like, there's a full ass form you have to fill out and stuff. I've done it. I've lived here long enough to, I think, do 2 at this point. But that's why there's a big debate of whether the census should include questions of whether or not you're a citizenship, because non-citizens are less likely to participate in a census with a citizenship question, even if they are legal immigrants. Because the thing of the census, like, it serves a bunch of purposes, right? Like, you want to know the number of people who live in an area and just general demographics, not like explicitly for like voting stuff, but like for a lot of fucking reasons. You want to know, because yes, a lot of the people that the census is trying to count are people who can't vote, including, by the way, citizens who are like felons and stuff, right? They also fill out the census, even though they can't vote. But that data is important for like a lot of things. And so you want to fucking know. Right, Chris, but you get votes based on population, but it's also not quite as simple, right? There's a reason that a vote in California in a federal election counts less than a vote in Wyoming.
It's still the same number, isn't it? They just go like, it's percentage based, isn't it?
And those people without IDs who are visiting from other places, I hate to keep saying the same thing, they're not counted as part of the population that lives there. They don't get counted that way. So Chris's point is not a point.
Oh, also, thank you, Robin. I'm really interested in seeing how they count the unhoused.
I mean, it's like often.
I will say, my sister, one of my sisters worked for the census. Whenever they do it, every now and again, yeah, they go to the homeless shelters. They do count them, but they count them as citizens, but they still have to have IDs. They have to prove that they've been there a certain amount of years, and so on and so forth.
In that
There's
case,
still paperwork involved.
my city has no homeless because we don't have a damn homeless shelter.
Well, they go to other places like, where you may find them, not necessarily just at shelters. They drive around looking. They usually have law enforcement or security go with them, because that's kind of an unsafe environment.
So labor intensive. Goodness.
Yeah. And they don't count them all. They count what they can, and then, you use math to...
Yeah, like a sample size. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sample. It works on the sample size. I can't read the chat right now because of the banner, and there's not enough space. So.
Well, but also, okay, so let's say if unauthorized immigrants were excluded from the apportionment count, because you're worried when we're talking votes, we're talking about, Congress and stuff in the House. So ironically, and I had a feeling, because like representation is based on, yes, like population and stuff in general, even if you can't vote. Because again, like that's you don't get to vote just because you're counted in the census doesn't mean you can vote. But in area's population, you are still meant to be represented by your area's representation. Like that's how representation works. So, if you remove unauthorized or undocumented immigrants from the apportionment count, as based on our best estimates, California would end up with one less congressional seat, yes, but Also, Florida and Texas would lose congressional seats.
Texas would probably lose quite a few, especially if you count the amount of people who have actually like been undocumented and then had children. And that's a red state, so do with that what you will.
And that I don't know. The census is more about there's more to it than just who can vote. It's also how much money a state would get during the event of a disaster, how much money the Fed gives to the schools, and so on and so forth. It's for a lot of reasons, not just for voting.
No, they would each lose one. So basically, when you're saying they would lose more than one, what California lost one in the last census, right? And Florida gained 2, and Texas gained 2, or gained 3. But if you were to remove like unauthorized immigrants from the population thing, California would have only would have lost 2 seats. And Florida would only gain 1 instead of 2. Texas would gain 2 instead of 3. So, which were the changes that were made, like, most recently? What was it? 2019, I think. 2020. So at the current levels, Texas and Florida and California would each lose 1 seat. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and Chris, let's say your
right,
point
but Chris,
is
but
correct.
you're saying they're represented in vote, but like you understand that doesn't mean, like, yes, populations are that's how representation works, but that doesn't mean that their vote, like, that doesn't affect voting. You know what I mean?
He's just speaking in terms of delegates, but to that point, Florida and Texas are basically every election since 2008 in Florida's case has pulled Republican. So,
right. Well, and also, Chris, just a reminder. So they can't vote, but the point is also, Chris, like, 2 red states are actually benefiting from that. And in the same way that way back when the South benefited from slaves counting as part of the population who couldn't vote. You know why that was set up that way, right? Because it gave them, the slaves were then represented as part of the population, but they couldn't vote, so their slave owners got to vote. So, again, let's talk about these businesses who are benefiting because, presumably these I know that that's not true for really big companies, but these business owners, these individuals, small business owners, these farmers who are hiring undocumented migrants, if those migrants happen to be counted in the census, those farmers now they are voting on behalf of those migrants. So again, your issue is with the people who are hiring and benefiting directly from these people being undocumented.
yeah, you just agreed, Chris. It is red states. So you're getting
Right.
more voting power, not the blue states.
Right, but that's how apportionment works, Chris.
Big corporations also benefit from immigrants, such as Tyson. They hire a lot of illegals.
Ohio is...
Ohio and Michigan are not billionaires. That's a lot of the working class.
That's
in
2 different
factories.
comments. That's 2 different commenters.
No, that's Chris.
No, Victrola said billionaires.
Oh, sorry.
Michigan's a blue state and has been since 1992, except for a narrow win by Trump in 2016. But they flipped back to blue 2020. So you're right. Blue states actually should be getting more of those representatives in Congress. You're right. Ohio is a swing state, famously. And Florida would lose one, which is another red state. Texas. So 2 red states, 1 blue state would each lose 1. And then
Hopefully not as election.
1 swing state would receive 1. 1 blue state would receive 1. And I'm not sure where that third one would go.
So with Michigan, sorry, not Michigan. Yeah, well, Michigan and Ohio both technically being swing states, it kind of evens out.
But also, again, Chris, like,
I don't think they're gonna get the Midwest. The Midwest is gonna swing blue.
I'd like that. But also, Chris, like, I understand that upsets you, but I also feel like, I mean, do you think felons should count in the census? So you're asking what's the topic? We're talking about this right now. Okay, but you understand in several states they can't vote. Texas. So Texas has a large percentage of people that they get to count as part of the population. And that, by the way, includes people serving out prison sentences. No, okay, Chris. Well, I fundamentally disagree. I think people should be, somewhat represented. I'm not saying, and I'm not even saying that they should be able to vote, but I think it's important for people because, there are people who can't vote in the same way that, like, kids can't vote. Chris, should they be represented in the census? Or sorry, should they be represented, with fucking in apportionment in Congress?
I just searched it, so I'm not 100% sure if this information is correct, but every state except
yeah, Chris, that's what we were saying earlier.
Felons can't vote. Like every state that they can't vote in if they are convicted of a felony.
That's not, well, during their terms. Some states say that you can never vote again. Some states say that, like, once you serve out your term and your probation and all this stuff, you can vote. So, like, Texas, you can vote after you serve out the full terms of your sentence, including incarceration, parole, community supervision, and probation.
It also
okay, no, Chris, no. So, okay, so you think that kids with high populations of children should lose, like, representation compared to, like, you understand also, firstly, that means that, like, every couple of years there's going to be, like, huge swings, right, as kids age into the thing. But no one's saying that, like, people with kids should have multiple votes, but should kids be taken into account when considering population representation in Congress? Are representatives not also representing children in their state? Hi, Straight Edge. Thanks. You don't think it really matters if you're representing the parents? But okay, so states with high portions of children should lose. Let's see. All right. So highest states are, again, ironically, of population under 18 years. Highest states are California, Texas, Florida. So do you
That's common sense.
right? So do you think they should lose? They should lose, congressional reps in the House because kids shouldn't count as part of the population that's being represented by representatives.
No, Chris, she's saying that states with higher populations have more children because there's more people procreating.
Some people have like 5 kids, while some people have just a couple kids. In general, conservatives have more children, right? So if we were to basically say, well, children don't get to count as part of the population that's represented by Congress, that would move a lot of congressional seats from red states to blue states. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. See, and I'm just putting this to the test. I think children should be represented. I also think immigrants without a vote should be representative. I'm pretty sure the Constitution says based on population by design because that benefited slave owners. Literally, that's why. But, I think that if you live in an area, just because you can't vote doesn't mean that your representative, the representative of people in your area, should not also, on some level represent you. Personally. But you're kind of saying, no, if you can't vote, then your representative shouldn't represent you. You shouldn't, your congressperson shouldn't be representing you. So as a result, you shouldn't count as part of the population in terms of apportionment because, as we say, they're allocated according to the proportion of people who are being represented. And if you remove a large portion of people who are not going to be represented by these people, then the ratios change.
I feel like government should try to take care of all people, whether they can vote or not.
Only citizens? All right.
All people. Whether they can vote, whether they can't vote, it shouldn't matter.
Right,
They should be trying to take care of everybody that lives in their area.
Chris, the government does represent citizens, specifically in that citizens have a much, much higher, say. I mean, citizens are the ones electing people, right? But if you're talking about a system that's based on apportionment just based on population, there's a reason that we have Congress split up into two chambers. I keep wanting to say cámara, which is the Spanish word for it, chambers. And there's a reason the House is done based on population specifically, right? Citizens are the ones who elect them, whatever. But the reason was they didn't want, it was set up that way because people didn't want, more populous states, bigger states, in the Senate, when every state has 2, it was like, well, why should a state with like 10% of the population of another state have the exact same say in stuff or whatever, just like purely based on population.
Chris, do you mean the Electoral College, or are you talking about the electorate, as in people who have a vote?
Yeah, the electorate is the ones electing people, not but yeah, wait, what do you mean? The electorate. Chris, are you confusing Congress with the Electoral College? I think you're confusing Congress with the Electoral College. Because we, citizens, vote for members of Congress. We elect our representatives, in Congress. But also, Chris, by the way, I understand, like, yes, it is a circus show, godless. But, like, Chris, that's fine. I understand, like, I don't think I'm going to, like, convince you to believe that people should have some level of representation, even if they don't really, like, get to vote for it. But, like, in a system that is based on population is population, even if that population doesn't necessarily include voters or citizens or whatever. But you disagree with that. Okay. Fine. Yeah, that's probably true. Honestly, Chris, I think most people agree with each other more than not. And often the disagreement comes from access to different information, which sometimes is correct, sometimes is incorrect.
And I think we can all agree on getting rid of superdelegates once and for all.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's a separate question altogether. Oh, it's past midnight. Odd. All right. We're not getting any. I think all the Trumpy people are off in other fucking debate things. Hey Rex, thank you for the heart me and for the rose. I'm sorry if you sent that earlier. I don't know why it didn't show up on my fucking chat. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's very slow tonight.
Should I restart the live? It is uncharacteristically slow, right? It's not just me.
Chat's definitely going by slow.
Yeah. That's weird. That's annoying. All right. Should I just restart it? Should I give it like 15 minutes and restart it?
Sometimes that helps, but it's definitely a you thing, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I might do that.
It's just really slow. I
might do that and like eat something and then, yeah, restart it and we'll see if we can get more debates in here. I can pop the Kamala Trump photos up if we want.
Yeah, that's started.
Thank you.
We can do that next time around. But okay, I'll set a timer for 15 minutes. I'll take a 15-minute break, eat some of my leftovers, my food, and start this back up with something a little bit more Pokey the Bear, you know?
Okay, we'll see y'all then.
Sound good, you guys? See ya. You started saying something, Tim? All right. All right. Well, I hope to see you guys in 15 minutes. 15. I'll set the timer right now. 15 minutes. Doo-doo. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the heart me, Chris.